Finland, Japan, and the countries of Eastern Europe. These were the nations that supported Nazi Germany during World War II. But what was their true contribution? The German army of World War II managed to terrify the entire world with its sinister plans for global domination. In its expansive quest for planetary control, it forged alliances with various militias. But over time, and as the war dragged on, those partnerships proved to be strategic blunders that would ultimately wipe out any real chance of victory for the Nazi forces. In this new episode of Military History, we'll uncover why the Axis allies failed to help Germany secure a win in World War II.
La dichiarazione di guerra è già stata consegnata agli ambasciatori.
Italy joined the war in 1940 as one of the Axis powers, right after the French Third Republic surrendered. The plan was to focus Italian forces on a major offensive against the British Empire in Africa and the Middle East, while waiting for the British to collapse. When Germany took over French territory, Benito Mussolini's army saw an opening to expand the Italian Empire. Il Duce then set his sights on North Africa, where a series of brutal battles unfolded. In these confrontations, Italy's stubborn decisions bled Adolf Hitler's Germany dry. To the Nazis, Italy was merely an ideological ally with limited military value. Industrially, it wasn't ready for any large-scale mobilization until late 1942, according to Carlo Favagrossa, head of war production. Still, driven by the momentum of the French collapse, Italy plunged into the war.
I reparti d'assalto, fanti e camicie nere si lanciano arditamente nella città. Entrano in Mentone sotto il bombardamento francese.
But Italy's unchecked ambition far outweighed its capabilities. In October 1940, it faced its first major setback during the invasion of Greece. The Italians completely underestimated the Greek army, and with dismal logistics, Mussolini's troops were hit by a strong counteroffensive that forced them to retreat. In April 1941, Hitler had to step in, diverting valuable troops just before launching Operation Barbarossa, the massive invasion of the Soviet Union. This intervention delayed the German offensive by weeks. Some historians argue that this delay contributed to German forces getting bogged down in the Russian mud just before winter. As if Greece wasn't enough, Italy also had ambitions in the Balkans, but its presence only destabilized the region. When the Germans finally invaded Yugoslavia and Greece, it was more about cleaning up Italy's mess than expanding their own empire. In North Africa, the outlook was just as grim. Italy aimed to build an empire on the continent. From Libya, its colony, it attacked Egypt, under British control at the time. But the campaign was a total disaster. In September 1940, Italian troops advanced roughly 100 kilometers into Egypt and dug in. By December, the British, despite having far fewer men, launched Operation Compass and completely crushed the Italian army, capturing over 100,000 soldiers.
The wiping out of Bardia by combined land forces of the British and Australian Army, the Navy and the Royal Air Force adds another 25,000 prisoners to help make up the total of less than 400 admitted losses by the Italians.
Desperate to turn things around, Hitler sent General Erwin Rommel and the Afrika Korps to back Mussolini's struggling forces. Once again, German troops had to patch a strategic hole caused by Italian incompetence. Il Duce's military fielded mediocre tanks, outdated biplanes, and obsolete tactics. To make things worse, Italy's only real military strength, its navy, was poorly used, avoiding decisive naval engagements that might have shifted the course of the war. By 1943, Italy was a wounded animal. It had lost critical battles in Africa and watched as Allied forces landed in Sicily. Germany was forced to occupy the country with its own troops and disarm the Italians. Ultimately, Italy was militarily weak, strategically harmful, and politically unstable. But it wasn't the only country to stand with Germany. Finland. When talking about Finland in World War II, one thing must be clear. It was never officially part of the Axis. But from 1941 on, it cooperated with Germany, primarily because both had a common enemy, the Soviet Union. The conflict with Stalin began when the Soviets demanded Finnish territory, including major border concessions in exchange for land elsewhere. The Soviets claimed it was a matter of security, mainly to protect Leningrad, just 32 kilometers from the Finnish border. Finland refused, so the Soviet Union invaded. Despite the imbalance of power, Finland held off Red Army assaults for over 2 months, inflicting heavy losses as temperatures plummeted to -43 degrees Celsius. Eventually, the reorganized Soviet army launched a new offensive in February and broke through Finnish defenses. Fighting ended in March 1940 with the signing of the Moscow Peace Treaty. Finland had held back an enemy considered unstoppable. And when Germany invaded Russia, the Nordic country saw a chance for revenge and to reclaim lost territory. Finland later joined the Nazi campaign by taking part in the invasion of the USSR. While better prepared than Italy, Finland also made critical mistakes. It overestimated its endurance. By 1944, as the tide turned in the USSR's favor, Finland was ill-equipped for a prolonged war, and its heavy reliance on Germany, especially for fuel and anti-aircraft arms, forced it to sign another peace treaty in Moscow. From that moment on, Finland switched sides and began fighting against Germany. This betrayal didn't come as a surprise to the Third Reich. As enemies, they fought bloody battles in Finland's north, especially in Lapland, where the Finns forced German troops to withdraw. As they retreated, the Nazis burned everything in their path. The war between Finland and Germany was short, but fierce. Meanwhile, in Eastern Europe, 3 countries made up the Axis's weak flank: Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria. In these nations, alliance with Germany was driven by fear, convenience, or pressure, not ideology. With histories riddled with political opportunism, tactical blunders, and diplomatic betrayals, their decisions had a deep impact on German war efforts. Hungary after World War I, Hungary was carved up. Under the Treaty of Trianon, it lost 2/3 of its territory. This national humiliation fueled Hungary's desire to join the Axis. Hitler aimed to redraw Europe's map, and Hungary saw a chance to reclaim its lands at the expense of Czechoslovakia, Romania, and Yugoslavia. Regaining them would restore national pride. In 1940, through the Vienna Awards, Hitler and Mussolini returned northern Transylvania to Hungary, taking it from Romania. Hungary then officially entered the war by declaring war on the Soviet Union. The Eastern Front quickly turned into a living nightmare. Hungary sent poorly equipped and poorly commanded troops who suffered devastating losses, especially at the Battle of Stalingrad. The Soviet counteroffensive on the Don River annihilated them. This disaster triggered a moral collapse and deepened tensions between Hungary's regent and Hitler. Hungarian radio broadcasts picked up desperate cries for help as Russian forces advanced.
SOS! Lehet, hogy most szólal meg utoljára az utolsó szabad magyar rádió. Világ népei, hallgassatok meg! Segítsetek! Ne tanáccsal, ne szavakkal, hanem tettel! Ne feledjétek, hogy a szovjet barbár támadását nem lehet feltartóztatni. A következő áldozatok ti lesztek!
In 1944, with the Soviets closing in, Hungary tried to make a separate peace with the Allies. Feeling betrayed again, Hitler launched Operation Margaret. Germany invaded Hungary and installed a puppet regime. The country was now squeezed between the Nazis and the Red Army. The siege of Budapest ended with Hungary in ruins, one of the most brutal episodes of the war. But it wasn't alone. Romania. This Eastern European country proved to be the most useful Axis ally on the Eastern Front, until everything changed in a stunning reversal. Romania was ruled by the authoritarian Ion Antonescu, and its key strategic asset was oil, one of the Wehrmacht's main fuel sources. In 1940, the USSR seized Bessarabia, and Hungary took part of Transylvania. Surrounded by enemies and feeling abandoned by the West, Romania turned to Hitler for protection. Romania joined the war with full force, fighting side by side with Germany in the invasion of the USSR. Romanian troops fought in Odessa, Crimea, and Stalingrad, suffering catastrophic losses. During the Battle of Stalingrad, the collapse of Romanian lines allowed the Soviets to launch a successful counteroffensive that encircled German forces. After hundreds of thousands of casualties, King Michael I staged a coup, arrested Antonescu, and declared war on Germany. The front collapsed within days, and the Soviets entered almost unopposed. Now aligned with the Allies, Romania took part in military campaigns against Germany in Hungary and Czechoslovakia. Bulgaria. The last of the Eastern European nations was Bulgaria. It never fired a single shot at the Soviets. King Boris III and his government wanted to stay in the Axis without antagonizing Moscow. Bulgaria's role was mostly passive. Far from the heart of Operation Barbarossa, it kept diplomatic relations with the USSR almost to the end. A strong communist resistance was brewing in a population skeptical of Nazism. In September 1944, as the Red Army crossed the Danube, Bulgaria switched sides nearly overnight, offering little to no resistance. It immediately declared war on Germany. Bloody battles followed in Yugoslavia and Hungary against Nazi forces. Meanwhile, sailing across the Pacific, Germany's most powerful imperial ally stood Japan.
帝国の流体、東亜の腐敗、まさにこの一戦にある。一億国民が一切を挙げて国に報い、国に準ずるの時は今であります。
The Japanese Navy joined Germany and Italy under the Tripartite Pact. The logic was simple: to intimidate the United States into staying out of Europe and Asia. The pact, however, didn't require military coordination. Japan never fought alongside German troops or shared any global strategy. What bound the three together was a shared goal: toppling the Anglo-Saxon world order. Germany sought to dominate Europe and crush the Soviet Union. Italy wanted to revive its imperial glory in Africa and the Mediterranean. Japan, meanwhile, envisioned an empire stretching across all of Asia. While Japan waged savage campaigns in China and Southeast Asia, Hitler attacked the Soviet Union, expecting Japanese support from the East. Instead, Japan signed a non-aggression pact with Stalin, which it honored until 1945, a sin of omission in Hitler's eyes. At the same time, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, awakening the sleeping giant of the West, the United States.
No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory.
While Germany was sinking in Russian mud and being pulverized by Allied bombings, Japan fought on in New Guinea, the Philippines, and Burma. Sea routes were blocked, so cooperation between Tokyo and Berlin, technical or logistical, was minimal. Via Swiss radio broadcasts, Japan merely echoed Germany's defeats, while Berlin learned of Midway's outcome through diplomatic cables. By 1945, after so many failures and drained by war, Nazi Germany collapsed under Allied pressure, leaving Japan to face the world alone. That August, Russia broke its neutrality and invaded Manchuria with 1 million troops. And as if that wasn't enough, Japan was devastated by 2 atomic bombs that brought its reign of terror to an end. What these Axis alliances made painfully clear is that fascism and its authoritarian cousins cannot sustain a stable coalition. Not for lack of power or resources, but because the fascist mindset itself blocks genuine cooperation. Every Axis nation acted out of self-interest, not a shared cause. Militarism without coordination and the mistrust bred by cults of personality made it impossible for the Axis to sustain a global conflict. And so we close another episode of military history, where we explored the fatal mistakes of the armies that joined Nazi Germany. United by hatred, divided by ego, the Nazi allies never became a true front against the world they sought to dominate. There was no synergy, only blind ambition that collapsed before it could destroy others. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe for more, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a release.